So I had an idea. What if I tried to assemble the most technologically advanced and futuristic backpacking setup? I think I maybe went a bit too far, but hey, at least we got gadgets, electronics, innovative gear, whatever this thing is, we got everything. Because after all, it is 2026, the age of AI, robots and drones, and yet we're all still hiking with the same backpacking setups, except now they're ultralight. Well, this is going to change today, because today we're gonna go on a 2-day hiking trip here in central Italy in the Apennine Mountains to test out all of this gear. And towards the end of the video, we're also gonna rate each one of this gear to understand if some of them are actually useful or if they're all completely pointless. Today I'm joined by my wife Ilza. The first thing that we have that we're going to be testing today is this suitcase. You carry it like this and you just go hiking. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to carry the whole suitcase. I'm going to show you what's inside of the suitcase. Oh, it's a weird thing. Right, so this is the Hypershell X Pro exoskeleton. It weighs roughly 2 kilograms and you're supposed to wear it like this. Essentially got a hip belt over here, and then these two things, they attach around your legs above your knees. The way that this thing works is that it has a motor over here, and essentially with each step that you take, it kind of pushes you a bit forward. It kind of helps push up the knee. So in theory, the product description said that this thing can last 17.5 kilometers. So in total, if I have 2 batteries, in theory, I should be able to hike 35 kilometers. I really doubt that the distance is going to be so much, but you know, let's see. By the way, I haven't really used this thing. I tried it only around the house. Actually, we both tried it around the house. I'm gonna put the video of she trying it. That was pretty funny. We only just started hiking. We've hiked like 100 meters, something like that. I still haven't turned on the exoskeleton because I wanted to feel how it feels like when it's not turned on. I would say I don't feel it too much actually. Like it isn't slowing me too down. It isn't too cumbersome. I can move my legs like this. So the green light means that it's on the eco setting, on the lowest assist setting. If I press it twice, it's now on the 2nd eco setting, 3rd, 4th eco setting, and if I long press this thing turns red, which means now it's on the maximum mode. At least I think it is. Oh yeah. This is crazy. So this thing actually feels really powerful. It's like taking my leg with each step and it's like pushing it up. Like on each step somebody is doing this essentially. All right. Stop. Okay, now it's back on the lowest setting. We are now walking a slight uphill, and on the lowest setting, it's actually helping me quite a lot. You know how it feels like somebody is walking behind me and is like pushing me forward. I'm gonna try turning this thing off. I almost tripped myself. I got used to it already. Okay, it's now coming back to me. It's coming back to me. I'm remembering how to walk. So over here there's a bit of an uphill section, and here I'm definitely starting to feel this thing. It's really helping me a lot, especially with this heavy pack. We're going over here to Monte Gabbia. We're planning on sleeping somewhere over there, 2 hours and 10 minutes. We left our car here. We're now over here. We're gonna go here. The mountain where we're planning on sleeping, where there might be a bit of snow, it's probably somewhere around here. Actually, we're starting to go up a bit. I'm gonna try turning on something slightly more powerful. Damn. I kind of want to just run. This actually feels like regular walking. I mean, it's not really steep, but kind of just want to run. Bye! So if I move my leg a bit, this is just an exoskeleton. I'm not doing anything. I mean, might as well go forward. All right, it's getting pretty hot, so we're gonna take this opportunity for her to try the exoskeleton. Yay! So you start with the hip belt,
Oh. I think it's on.
Okay, so now it's on the eco setting.
Oh! Oh! No! Why so fast?
So if you want to stop, just stop moving your legs and it's going to stop. Yeah. So that was the problem, I remember at home.
Yeah. It's hard to stop.
Yeah, but you do get used to it. Okay, now try hiking with it.
I don't know, I want to move my hands like this.
Yeah, you look a bit more normal now, but still a bit like a robot. Right, I think now it's time to try the turbo mode. Now it's Turbo 4.
Oh my god, oh my god.
That actually is pretty steep.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Careful, going down, careful.
Too much.
Now eco lowest setting. Bit of snow over here. Oh, look at that, there's the big bench. I remember this thing. Check out this bench. Maybe, wait, maybe you need turbo for the stairs.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I can hear it as well. It's working. So we've hiked 2 kilometers so far. Not really a lot, 1 hour.
But it was fun.
It was fun, yeah. If you're interested in a lot of this tech, then you're probably the type of person that needs internet while traveling. And that's where today's sponsor comes in, the Saily Travel eSIM. In the past, whenever you were traveling, you had to find a local SIM card whenever you arrived, or you had to pay very high fees with your original phone's carrier. Saily has innovated this whole experience, and now it's much simpler. All you need to do is download the Saily app, select one of their plans for the region where you'll be traveling to that is large enough, and when you arrive, you'll have a working internet connection. And the good thing is that if you're traveling to many different countries, then you don't need to find a new SIM card for each new country. You just need to go in the app, select a new plan for the next country, and voila, you're all set. What I like about Saily specifically though is that it also comes with a few other built-in benefits included in the price. Like for example, a VPN to protect you over public Wi-Fi, a built-in ad blocker to passively reduce the data usage on your phone by not loading the ads, and also a basic web protection that blocks malicious sites. By scanning this QR code and entering Oscar Hikes at checkout, you'll get 15% off Saily data plans. That's a pretty good deal, so make sure to screenshot this QR code in case you need it in the future. Thank you Saily eSIM for sponsoring this video. So, the next thing that I have in my backpack is, I have a lot of things actually, but the thing I'm talking about specifically is this thing. So I mean, if we're talking about hiking tech, we gotta have solar, right? So this is a 15-watt solar panel meant for hiking, camping, something like that, made by Sunjack. Anyway, you open it and now you have free electricity. And the idea is that inside of here you put something that you want to charge. So a power bank, a phone, a tablet, something like that. This is really useful for me because unfortunately I have an iPhone and it's always out of battery. Even now it's not facing direct sunlight, it's facing the shade, and both of our phones are still charging. So I think it's working. I don't know. I also did some more tests with it back home, and in direct sunlight, the maximum that I was able to pull out of it was 11 watts. And in shade, it was hovering between 0 and 1 watts. To charge my phone fully to 100% in direct sunlight, it took 2 hours. And in shade, even though the phone showed up as charging, the battery didn't seem to go up. So in reality, it charges only when it's facing the sun, not in shade. And I would say that you get a pretty average charging time of around 2 hours. After this, it was time to eat. For the food, we've selected something pretty futuristic as well, a meal replacement powder made by Huel.
Oh, looks like sand.
In each meal, it has 400 calories, 40 grams of protein, 16 grams of carbs, 17 grams of fat, and a very large list of different nutrients. This is like a complete meal replacement. 1 scoop, 2 scoops. All right, now it's time to taste it. Do you want to go first?
No.
Chocolate flavor, by the way. Feels like kind of something in between porridge and protein shake, maybe. Well, the flavor, it's not like very good chocolate, right? It's like, yeah, it's like cheap chocolate. How do you feel about the fact that we're just going to be eating this these 2 days?
No, I don't like that.
It's not bad, but
It's not good.
it's not good. I was honestly hoping that it would be better.
Yeah, me too.
So, as you keep drinking it, it gets only worse, I think.
Yeah.
So one thing that I did back at home is I added these 4 reusable zip ties over here, because once you open it, it does have these holes in each one of the corners, which means that you can attach this thing to your backpack, which is what we're going to do now before we start hiking. Alright, since we're now near a water source, it's time to show you the next gadget that I have over here, which is an electronic water filter called the Pen Ultra. So normally I wouldn't filter out a water source like this because, I mean, look at it, it's dirty as hell. I usually choose something a bit more cleaner, like water from a lake, river, stream, but definitely not this. That's because the hollow fiber water filters that everyone usually uses, including me, can filter out bacteria and protozoa, but not viruses. And that's where this thing comes in. It's a UV water filter, which means that over here it emits UV light. And UV light is more useful in this situation because UV light also kills viruses. The only thing that it can't filter out is heavy metals, pesticides, but I don't think I have to worry about that over here too much. So what I'm gonna do right now is fill up this thing with this super dirty and contaminated water. So the way that it works is very simple. Simply screw it on, and now all you need to do is turn it upside down, put it in a clean container, squeeze it, and out comes clean water. All right, the bottle now is full. The water already looks pretty clear. By the way, in theory, this step was unnecessary because UV light would kill everything and make the water safe to drink. But it wouldn't remove the dirt particles, which is why the water is usually pre-filtered with a hollow fiber water filter, or at least strained through a cloth to make the water taste a bit better. So to turn it on, it's very simple. You press this once and it says over here, put it inside of the bottle. All right, it's inside. And here on the screen, it's showing a timer, 85, 84. And you're supposed to swirl it around the water for 90 seconds to filter out this water. All right, 90 seconds have passed. Now it shows a smiley face. In theory, this water should be good to drink. Let's try it. Smells like nothing. Kind of wants to make my mouth feel a bit dry. But in theory, all that's bad for you, all the bacteria, viruses, should be filtered out from this water. Do you want to try it as well?
No, thank you.
Anyway, let's see if I get sick in the evening or not. Hopefully not. I really hope not. I wonder how big solar panel you would need to charge the exoskeleton. You'd probably need to pull like a small trailer with you covered with huge solar panels just to power this thing. There's a really small hill over here, but it's pretty steep. You know what it means. I've turned on the turbo mode. See ya.
Bye.
Just finished another 4 scoops of the Huel Black Edition, and I gotta say it was really hard to finish them. It's really, really bad. I definitely would not recommend this. So now we need to do a pretty steep uphill section, and I wanted to briefly talk about 2 other pieces of hiking tech that aren't necessarily new, but They are very innovative and they are extremely useful. The first piece is a GPS watch. And why exactly do you need a GPS watch? Well, you probably don't need a GPS watch, but it is a very, very useful piece of hiking tech. Once you start using it, you can't go back to not using a GPS watch. Because first of all, if I wouldn't be hiking with a GPS watch, I do have to constantly take out my phone to make sure that I'm still on the trail, to look at any upcoming water sources, stuff like that. I always need to use my phone, and that drains a lot of the battery. With a GPS watch, I just need to raise my hand, look at the watch, make sure that I'm still on the trail, and I'm all set. One other thing is that for offline maps on my phone, I always need to download the specific area for offline maps before starting the hike. With this thing, I downloaded the offline maps for whole Europe once, and I don't need to do that again. Now, wherever I go in Europe, I pretty much always know where I am because I have offline maps on this watch. The second piece of important tech that a lot of hikers already use is a satellite communicator device. These things are pretty costly. This one costs 300 euros, I think, but this thing is even more important than a GPS watch. Most importantly, this thing has an SOS button, which I'm going to open and click right now to demonstrate you how it works. No, I'm not going to do that, because if I would do that, it would start emitting a signal. It would communicate to a satellite and tell the rescue workers that they need to come here with a heli or something and pick me up. And that would be really costly probably, but it would also be really useful if I am in a survival situation. So these things are really, really helpful. And the second thing of why these things are useful is because if I don't have any cell reception on my phone, with this thing I can send an SMS message to anyone. Usually it's just my wife, to let her know that I'm not lost, that I'm okay. I can send her my exact location. Essentially, it will give her a peace of mind to know where exactly I am and that I'm okay. And by the way, I did offer her to use the exoskeleton, but she declined. So before, while hiking on mostly flat terrain, I didn't really see a huge point for the exoskeleton, but now as we're doing the steepest part of this trail, like my heart rate would usually be like 150, 160, something like that. Now it's 118. So that's potentially one use case scenario where I do see this thing being useful, especially if you're like a bit older, you have a bit less energy, it's harder for you to hike, or if you have some mobility issues. So that could potentially limit you from hiking in the mountains. Well, with this thing, you can do that again.
Ooh.
Yo.
You can climb them.
We're now almost at the top. The views are getting pretty good. So it's starting to make a sound. I don't know if you can tell that on the camera. So I think that's because the battery is running out. It's blinking red. I think it's just out of battery. I think that's what's making the sound.
Sounds like something's dying.
Yeah, something like
Some
that.
animal.
So I think we're going to be setting up our tent over here, but because we have been eating this thing all day, which is not very delicious, we are both very hungry. But luckily for the dinner we have something else. Unfortunately, it's still from Huel, so I'm not having my hopes very high up, but in theory this is like a traditional dehydrated meal. You should heat up some water, add it to this meal, and it should be pretty good. I wanted to try this thing specifically because it costs 4 euros, so much less compared to a traditional dehydrated meal. It does look pretty good actually. I hope it tastes good as well.
Yeah.
She's starting to cook the dinner, and while she's doing that, I'm gonna start setting up the tent. And for the tent, I do have something really interesting. The tent that I have today is made by a company called Heimplanet. As far as I could tell, this is the lightest inflatable tent on the market. So they told me that their main target audience isn't hikers, and instead they're targeting people who do car camping, regular camping, motorcycle camping, and even bikepacking trips, where essentially size and weight isn't that big of an issue. Having said that, I still wanted to try this because it is an inflatable tent. It's really cool. In my opinion, it's really innovative. Let's just set it up and I'll show you how it works. But before we start setting up the tent, my wife is telling me that something is ready. It looks pretty good. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn on the microphone, but this thing was great. I'm not over-exaggerating. It was one of the most delicious dehydrated meals that we had ever tried. It was spicy, it tasted like curry, it had a lot of different ingredients in it. Instead of just rice with tiny specks of dehydrated vegetables, it was really delicious. For only €4 a meal, I will for sure buy this again. So in theory, this tent is really easy to set up. So you need to roll it out on the ground where you're going to set it up. You don't need to use any poles, nothing. All you need is this. Here it has an inflatable valve. You connect the pump to this valve and you start pumping. All right, it's starting to come up. All right, I think it's good enough. Close the valve. All right, and that's pretty much it. That's your inflatable tent. And I think the cool thing about this tent is that it is very, very wind resistant because it doesn't have a frame. It can bend. You can do this to the tent. You can bend it like this. You know, nothing's gonna happen to it because after all, it is inflatable. So here's how it looks from the outside. It has two entrances, one there, one over here. I would say that it's a pretty classic two-person tent. You could fit two mattresses over here and maybe just a bit of space over to the sides, but not a lot. But you do get a bit more space over here on this side. Now I have something even more interesting that goes around the tent. Ta-ta-ta! What's that? Adventure on, stress off. So this is the Bearwatch Systems Ultralight Electric Fence System. And the main idea for this thing is that it's an electric fence that goes around your tent, which protects you from bears and other animals. Now, obviously, this thing isn't probably too useful here in central Italy, although we do have a few bears here. In fact, this region specifically is one of the most densely populated bear regions here in Italy, but not by a lot because just 60 bears live here in these mountains around this area. So that's still not a lot. This would be much more useful though for hiking in Romania, in the Carpathian Mountains, but more importantly, if you're from United States or from Canada. In fact, the company that makes this thing is from Canada themselves. Anyway, now I'm going to show you how to set it up. When you open the bag, you'll notice that it has a lot of different things inside, including a very detailed instruction manual that shows you how to set everything up. You start by placing a carbon pole in each corner, then add 3 clips on each pole, then loop through the 3 electric wires and tighten them. One really important step is to make sure that nothing is touching the grass. Otherwise, the electricity will just go straight through the ground and it won't work. Then you add the warning signs, place the electric supply in one of the corners, connect it to a grounding rod and the 3 wires, connect it to a power bank, turn it on, and test that it's working using the included tester. Or if you're a dum-dum like me, you can also touch it to make sure that it's working. And you can even do it twice because apparently the first time wasn't enough. Anyway, this thing works, and in my opinion, it's a really cool innovation. Especially if you're the type of person who's always having problems sleeping in a tent because you're worried that a bear might come and attack you during the night. So remember before that I said that I have an iPhone? Well, as an iPhone always is, now it is at 6%, almost out of battery. So on to the next gear, which is very useful in this case, a power bank. This is the FlexTail Zero Power 10,000 milliamp hour power bank. And this is the same power bank, only it's the 5,000 milliamp hour version. So just to compare it to a normal 10,000 milliamp hour power bank, this is how they both look. As you can see, the FlexTail Zero is a bit smaller, but most importantly, it's thinner and it's lighter. This thing is only 145 grams. It's also supposedly pretty quick charging. It has 22.5 watt output. Yep, it's connected and it's working just like a normal power bank would. That's it for the power bank. On to the next gadget, which is this thing. Maybe you have already seen it. This is the Outzak Ultralight Pump. It's so lightweight because the way that it works is that it doesn't have a built-in battery. Instead, you connect it to a power bank and it just starts working. So this thing is pretty powerful enough to blow up a mat. Pretty small, very, very lightweight and not that expensive as well. Now let's try blowing up a mat with this thing. In total, it took 35 seconds to inflate a sleeping mat. So yeah, overall, it's a pretty neat little gadget. So as you can see, the sun is now setting and it's becoming pretty cold, but I do have a trick up my sleeve, or rather I should say that I have a power bank up my sleeve. So this is the HeatX Heated Everyday Vest. From the outside, it looks like a regular vest. It's also machine washable. It's pretty lightweight. It has two pockets over here on the sides. So it's pretty much a normal, good looking, regular vest, right? Now, this power bank connects to this wire over here. There's a small hidden pocket inside of the vest. And now to turn on the vest, I need to click this button over here. On the warmest setting, the red one, it lasts up to 2 hours. On the white one, 3 hours. And on the lowest setting, the blue one, up to 5 hours. I can already feel the vest starting to heat up really well. I am starting to become pretty warm, so I'm just gonna keep it on the lowest setting and see if I'm warm enough. And by the way, it works even better if you put on a rain jacket on top, because this blocks all the incoming wind. You can probably tell there is quite a bit of wind today, and it's just gonna keep all of the heat inside of the rain jacket. I kept the vest on the lowest setting as we kept testing stuff outside of the tent, and it worked out very well. I felt really warm despite the high wind speed and the temperature dropping rapidly. But this thing doesn't stop there, because I have another trick up my sleeve. So this is a remote for my socks. Yes, you heard that right, a remote for my socks. So these are the HeatX Heated Everyday Socks. It's the same company that makes the vest. So the big thing with these socks is that over here, each sock has a dedicated power bank. And all you need to do is connect it to the power bank and put it back inside of the dedicated pocket. So this is the remote. It has a power on button, a high setting button, a medium and a low setting button. So on the low setting, it should last for about 8 hours, on the medium setting 6 hours, and on the high setting 4 hours. For now, I kept the socks off because they're actually really warm and thick as is, and that was more than enough to keep my feet warm for the rest of the evening as we kept testing other gear outside of the tent. Later in the night though, when we tucked into our sleeping bags, I gave them to my wife because she is always having problems with cold feet when sleeping in a tent. She told me that her feet were warmer than usual and that she fell asleep quicker and that she felt warm during the whole night. So all in all, they worked really well, especially for sleeping in a tent. So it's now becoming really dark really quickly, so I just want to show you the last 3 gadgets that we're going to be testing today, but we're going to be using them when it gets dark. So the first thing that we're going to be testing is the Woben X4 flashlight, because if in this video we're testing all kinds of camping and hiking gadgets, then of course we need a really bright flashlight. All right, so now it's complete darkness, and this is the bright light. This thing is really bright. I'm not even kidding. So that's the tent in the distance. That's my wife. So I've actually been using this thing whenever I go out of the house in the darkness, and it's really useful for seeing stuff in the distance, because with it you can easily see 100, maybe even 200 meters away in the distance. And it also has a side light with several different colors. I don't really see a point for having these different colors, but I found out that the yellow one actually works out as a pretty good lantern inside of the tent. It's not too bright and the light is very evenly diffused. The next thing that we're going to be testing today is the Arzen Zip Trifold Mini Projector. This thing is honestly pretty expensive. It's 400 euros, but it is very small. You can put it inside of your pocket and it weighs 280 grams. So the main thing about it is that you can unfold it like this, and then it becomes into a mini projector, which we're going to use today to essentially watch Netflix on the tent wall. And I think this is going to be really cool. The way that it works is that you need to connect it to your phone, and then it will essentially project anything that you see on the phone. Unfortunately, without buying additional add-ons, Netflix specifically doesn't work with it because the Netflix app is blocking screen mirroring. But it does work with YouTube and with anything that you've downloaded and then uploaded to the phone, for example, a pirated movie. It works best if you project it to a white and straight surface, and then the image quality is pretty good. On the tent wall, even though you could see some things obstructing the image, it worked out really well, and it even has a pretty decent built-in speaker. We used it to watch some videos of our past hiking trips. By the way, we also used this thing to watch a movie while car camping, and it was really awesome. And the last thing that we're going to be testing today is the Go Yo-Yo. That's a pretty weird name. GNG 2K night vision goggles. It goes over one of your eyes and you use it like this to look at something in the distance during the night. When it got dark, we took it outside, and one thing that I realized while coming back at home and looking at the footage is that the recorded footage is much darker than what you see on the screen. While you're looking through the lens, you could actually see quite a bit better compared to what you'll see in the next few shots, so just keep that in mind. For example, this is how Ilse looked through the lens, and this is how she looked at the recorded footage, much darker. Same thing with the tent and everything else. Everything was much brighter when viewing it in real time. Anyway, it has 4 different color modes. I don't really know which one is better. I think the one with the most realistic colors. You can also zoom quite far with it because it has 4x digital zoom. Having said that, in the recorded footage on the maximum zoom setting, the footage does look pretty bad.
It's so funny. Oh no! Oh no! What is that?
Hi. It's just me. I'm just crawling. I like to crawl. After finishing the hike, we gave a rating for each one of the items, and here are the results. Starting with the exoskeleton, we gave it a rating of 7 out of 10 because it actually was really useful and genuinely innovative. I probably wouldn't use it myself, but I can see it being really useful for people who are older in age and don't have as much energy, or for people with mobility issues. This thing will help you hike longer, faster, and with less energy, and it's genuinely fun to use. The only thing that I didn't like about it is that it was awkward to carry with the backpacks, because the batteries are a bit too high up from the waist, so the packs were sitting too high as well. For the solar panel, we gave 6 out of 10 because in direct sunlight it can charge a phone in 2 hours. That said, it didn't really charge anything when it was facing the shade, and it was a bit heavy, and I just don't see it being much more useful than just carrying a power bank, except when hiking in very remote areas with no option to charge for multiple days. For the Huel Black Edition meal replacement, we're giving only 3 out of 10 because it tasted really bad. Honestly, I don't really see the point. I'd rather just eat good regular food. For the Huel Dehydrated Meals though, we're giving 10 out of 10. Honestly, one of the best dehydrated meals that I have ever eaten, and also at a very reasonable price of just €4 for a pack. For the UV water filter, I'm giving 8 out of 10. I probably wouldn't use it regularly because for most water sources it is an overkill. But when hiking in third world countries where sewage problems can cause a real risk of having viruses in the water, it's a very viable option to iodine tablets. For the GPS watch, I'm giving 9 out of 10. I've made a review on it on my other channel, so go and check it out if you're interested. For the Garmin Messenger, I'm giving 5 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, it's really useful and reliable. However, it's also really expensive, and I hate the fact that Garmin is charging me €10 per month to basically never use it, plus additional fees for check-ins and messages. For the inflatable tent, I'm giving 8 out of 10. It's really good looking, well thought out, a bit heavy but also not too heavy, because you do have to remember that it is mainly a camping instead of a hiking tent, and I genuinely like the fact that they're innovating with the inflatable frame. For the electric fence, I'm giving 10 out of 10. I don't have a lot of use for it here in Italy because we don't have that many bears, but in bear territory in Northern America, I can see this thing being really useful. It is a bit complicated to set up, but honestly, they've explained it very well. A really cool hiking product that I'm all for. For the power bank, I'm giving 8 out of 10. It really is what it promises out to be, very lightweight and small, but I'm not giving it 10 because it doesn't have a USB port, and instead only 2 Type-C ports. For the inflatable pump, I'm giving 9 out of 10. I'll definitely keep using this thing because it's super small, lightweight, and very powerful. The heated vest I'm placing at 7 out of 10. It's very warm when it's turned on, and when it's not turned on, it basically looks like a regular lightweight vest, and in my opinion looks pretty good as well. I'm giving it only 7 because I'm not really seeing super useful case for it for hiking, because I would be almost as warm with a cheaper down jacket, and and I wouldn't need to bring the extra power bank. For the heated socks, I'm also giving 7 out of 10. They're very warm by themselves, even when not turned on, and with the heating element working, they're even warmer. They were very helpful for my wife specifically, because she's always struggling with cold feet when sleeping in a tent in the cold season. I'm giving them only 7 because they do weigh quite a bit when you also include the 2 extra power banks, so in my opinion they're more useful for situations where weight and size isn't really an issue. The flashlight was a very pleasant surprise, which I gave 10 out of 10 because even though it is a bit heavy, it's very well made, it's waterproof, you can see very well in the distance on the brightest setting, and it also doubles as a camp lantern. I'll probably keep using it on a lot of my hikes despite the weight because it is actually pretty useful and I really like using it. For the projector, we're giving 8 out of 10 because it is super small, the picture quality is really good, the built-in speaker is decent, and overall it's a really cool and innovative gadget. The only thing that I don't like about it is that it has a pretty short battery life of just 1.5 hours. For the night goggles, I'm giving a rating of 5 out of 10 because it was a really cool gadget to try, but I really don't see a lot of use for it, and it's also very expensive. You could see a bit better with it, but in complete darkness, without any lights in the distance, it was just marginally better than seeing with my eyes once my eyesight got used to the darkness. And also the recorded image quality isn't really that great. I hope you enjoyed this video. It definitely was pretty fun to make, so if you want to see similar stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in one of my next videos. Bye!